Hello friends, in this video we will talk about the stars in the sky and the stars in us. As always they are in both places at the same time. And we will talk about February 2022 and also about the coming months a bit. In the first part of the video I will mention important transits and aspects this month. Then I will talk about the archetype of Aquarius and talk about that which nations can we identify with Aquarius. And briefly I will say at the end which era of life is emphasized for each sign of the zodiac during February. So for all of those who are waiting to hear something about their sign or about a bit of this individual approach, it will be at the end of the video. So what do we see from lunar activity this month? We see that the new moon is going to happen on the February the 1st, and it will be in Aquarius, while the full moon will be on the February 16th in Leo sign. Further important transits are the Sun is in Aquarius up to the 18th, and after that is in Pisces. Mercury is retrograde until the 4th of February in Capricorn, and after that is direct, but it comes out of its shadow only on the 24th of February. So basically almost February Mercury is in its shadow, the same as Venus. So we are slowly moving forward, but still not with the full speed. It's just starting now in February. And Venus and Mars are in Capricorn all month. And what is especially interesting, all of the big major planets are direct this month. Let's mention a few important aspects. On the 4th of February, there is an exact conjunction between the Sun and Saturn. I would call this conjunction the power of consciousness. It's going to be an important day when we will see something that we usually do not see as a part of our shadow. Then on the 8th of February, Mars makes trine to Uranus, and both of those planets are in the Earth sign. This I call the struggle for prestige. Definitely something like that is happening. Then on the February 11th, sorry, on the February 11th, there is a conjunction of Mercury and Pluto in Capricorn, and this could be that they're going to hide something, those who have power, for example. This is the time of great secrets and great manipulations. Then on the February 16th, Venus and Mars make conjunction in Capricorn. And this conjunction means the passion and also war and diplomacy at the same time. This passion, yes, it can be individual because lovers meet and have things to deal about, but also in the political sphere. Then on the February 17th, there is a sextile between Jupiter and Uranus, and I would call this unexpectedly good development. Then on the February 24th, Venus will make sextile to Neptune. It is happening in Capricorn, and Neptune is here stronger than Venus, means that spiritual values will be stronger than material ones. Then also the same day, on the 24th, Mercury will square Uranus, and this is the square between those signs that are fighting now, Aquarius and Taurus. And this square can bring nervousness and impatience. Who is the impatient one? We will talk later. So the square of Saturn and Uranus has been slowly weakening since February. It was extremely intense at the end of the year and in January 2020. And now it is those two planets, Saturn and Uranus, are separating slowly, but the square will intensify once again and for all in October 2021, which means until that time, more or less, we will learn what is happening and who is going to be the strongest in the world. If not exactly at that time, then after that square. And of course, the square between Saturn and Uranus is the most important planetary aspect. It was in 2021 and it will be in 2022 also. And of course, the square symbolizes that the highest ruling classes have to be changed. Pardon. And of course, then there are some obstacles. So, sorry about this. We see that the moon begins with the new moon in Aquarius. In February, Sun is also in Aquarius, and Saturn is there from the end of the year 2020. Now all three planets meet together, and we often talk about Saturn in Aquarius. I have a special video about Saturn in Aquarius. Please check that video if you want to see how I saw this transit in the year 2020 when I recorded it. However, we will mention this transit again because energy of Aquarius now is very emphasized in February. So this new moon is very important because every event that is happening now in Aquarius, when Saturn is there, significantly affects the life of the collective. For now, we see that many people are still imprisoned, still wearing masks. Many has got the jab, and many are dead or damaged, unfortunately. People are still scared because every day is somebody telling them about new measures and new laws, which is a very important thing, and many things that they are doing now with those people for the last 2 years are not with the so-called, they are not in the line with the so-called democratic constitutions in various states. So now where I live, for example, in Czech Republic, they're pushing new pandemic law, according which will be possible to limit, to punish, and to imprison people. It could be that this would reach the highest degree of crisis situation, this law, even higher than the war situation. And similar law was implanted in USA after the destruction of the Twin Tower, the World Economic Center. And this happened during the opposition of Saturn and Pluto in September 2001. So in the USA at that time, this law was imposed under the excuse of terrorist attacks, even if they actually attacked the twins, they dematerialized it. And now, for example, in Czech Republic, where I live in, or perhaps in all European Union and in some other countries, the excuse for such law would be the pandemic, of course. I believe that such a law can be adopted through many countries, but not for a long time. And if people have the strength to act, and if they just a little bit understand what is happening in today's world, and if people just a bit understand that they have power, then such law will not last. Yes, these restrictions are symbolized by Saturn in Aquarius, to some extent by the square with Uranus and Saturn, and as well as there are also some other constellations in the past that prepare this. Sorry about my throat. So since all planets have been direct since February, we can now expect an attack on humans maybe until April. In my video for 2021, which has the name Walking on Water, I said that actually the pressure will be until June, until the time when Saturn will be retrograde again in Aquarius. And April and May are months when universe will give us the chance to get out of this. Check that video if you are interested in this analysis. This new moon now on the February the 1st will develop a certain energy pattern if you want, that will culminate during the full moon in Aquarius in August. So what is that energy? The meeting of the Sun and the Moon on February the 1st takes place at the degree that some astrological schools call armed warrior. And this is the degree of self-affirmation. So this is not just a warrior who goes and kills. He goes up to the hill because he wants to reach the point of self-affirmation. And the full moon in August will be at the 19th degree of Aquarius, which is marked as the big turtle. And this degree is characterized by predictability and caution. So that's what will be developed. Yes, there are going to be people who are armed, but not just to kill and to fight, more to slowly to reach the point of self-affirmation. It is important to know that Saturn in Aquarius not only symbolizes limitations, but that this teacher of teachers, as we call Saturn also, has something positive to say. In the first phase of transit, of any transit of Saturn, he slows down the course of events and teaches us something. If Aquarius means people, then what did the people learn? Maybe they could learn that because they were limited and closed, it's time, or that they have the possibility and the power to take the situation in their own hands. This could be one thing. Then we can ask, did the people understand that the government representatives are making an idiot of them? Or they did not understand it still? If Saturn symbolizes a desire for respect, which Saturn symbolizes always, have the people realized that the government does not respect them, but that the government can respect them if people take responsibility for themselves. Also, we can ask, if Aquarius means freedom for all, did the people understand what freedom is? So let's explain at least the later one, about the freedom. I want to explain something here. I will give you an example. If I refuse to take the jab myself, I refuse it. I'm free. I'm a free person. If someone forces me to take it by imposing physical power on me, I'm still a free person. Maybe later I will be sick, maybe dead, but I'm still free. But if I let them to give me the jab, then I'm not free. And it doesn't matter if they made me afraid, so that's why I'm doing it, or they cheated me. Doesn't matter why. I simply let them to do it. I signed it. Which means I gave up my integrity and I handed it over to someone else. So I hope this will help you to understand what they are trying to reach for those 2 years. I will not make any comments, I leave it to you. In many videos we have said that something like democracy does not exist. It never existed, actually, because when they invented it in antique Greek, they had slaves. So slavery and democracy always go together. And the democracy is the phrase which they use ritually in today's countries. Then liberalism. Liberalism have existed in the West in some form, but now it does not exist anymore. It has turned into totalitarianism. which is quite normal because things always turn into its opposite. But in the colonies of the West, of course, their liberalism never existed. Colonial countries were always slaves. And now the whole world should be the colony. Now is that final shoot that they wanted to make, that the whole world would be the colony when the states shut down because states don't have money and don't have power anymore. And then those states and their governments hand over the people and the country to corporations. This is what they want to reach now. And who are corporations? They are actually a small group of capitalists who own everything. So for some people it can be that corporations are like aquarium type, but they are not. They are like royal types. They are capitalists. There are few people who have power and who want to rule everything. And who opposes them now? Well, for now it's only Russia. Russia is doing that successfully. Some other countries maybe in some way, but very few and very in a controlled way. Russia perhaps also in a controlled way, but Russia still has power to change things. And now we already see that Russians are using the expression Russian world, and many will be invited to be the part of this world. Many are invited already, and many are refusing to be part of that world. And that future world, Russian world, maybe will not be ideal, but will certainly be much more human than the failed world of America and this failed world that globalistic structures are creating. Why will be better? Well, because the East has already passed through the phase of totalitarianism, which was based on global principle, and now is the time for Western America to go through that phase. Simply just the return of the Tao, or the movement of the Tao, as Chinese would say. So now let's look further. Which peoples are Aquarian? Well, these are Slavs or Slavic people and people of Asia generally, maybe some other, but this is the biggest group on the whole one continent we can call Aquarian type continent. Especially the southern and eastern Slavs have characteristics of Aquarium, some Muslim countries of the Asia also. And I know how scary is it for some when I speak in favor of Russia, because brainwashing does what brainwashing needed to do, but that's really true. Russia is the country whose future is coming. Russia itself will be perhaps surprised by the opportunities that they will now have. And of course, globalists are also very strong. They are trying to destroy country from inside, but for now this is not happening because they do not have the army, fortunately. And I hope they will never have it. So now we have this Russian ultimatum which they gave to America and NATO, and we will see what will happen. One have to give up, and if we are now in the phase when Tao is turning around and making the movement into opposite direction, so then America has to give up, which basically means the end of America and NATO in some near future. Now we are actually facing the reversal of Tao, as I'm calling it in this video, and it's very interesting to watch it. The wheel of destiny is turning, and it is getting faster and faster from February on. So this wheel of history cannot be stopped, and let us remind ourselves that this wheel of destiny is in mythology represented by Moiras, who one waves, one unravels, and one cuts the thread of life. And they are very, very old symbols, or if you want, we can say very ancient pattern. And they're much older. They represent actually the energy or the pattern, that it is much older and has much stronger power than planets in astrology. So they denote a law that operates from the highest sphere of the existence. Maybe that's not the Tao in Taoism, but it is maybe somewhere under the Tao itself. So what is interesting also, it is that Tao always leads to some sort of balance. Namely, if man intervened too much and thus changed or stopped the natural flow of energy and of nature, or man somehow interrupted the existence, the natural state of the existence of everything, then this law works by occasionally returning everything into its original order and balance. And now we will see, because things will have to go into the balance after many centuries of misusing of the energy of others, nations and peoples. And now we see that already they call Great Britain Small Britain. But Britain still does not understand this. They are in unconscious state, the same as USA, while Russia is, after a long period of sleepness, or maybe all Slavs, or maybe even all Asia, now they're becoming more and more pragmatic and realistic. So we say that the archetype of Aquarius is important to Slavs and people of Asia, who are passive, slow, people of space, not of time. They're numerous. They live in accordance with the female principle. They're peoples who nurture the collective spirit. They gather together on squares and on streets. They exchange information constantly. They live as a family unit or the tribe or things like that, even if they live in a civilized world. So we have talked in many videos that Saturn was the last time in Aquarius in between 1991 and 1994. And what happened in that time? We see that many countries of the Slavs were destroyed in a way. For example, Czechoslovakia, Soviet Union and Yugoslavia were disintegrated. And countries like Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Belarus, Georgia, Turkmenistan and many other that were former Soviet Union and many countries of Yugoslavia and on Czech and Slovakia, they gain an independence, which means that all of those countries have in their horoscopes Saturn in Aquarius. All of those countries have Saturn in Aquarius. Of course, because they're Aquarian type countries in a way. And of course, because now it was simply the time. It is always the time when things are happening in Aquarius that something happened with such countries. But now it's interesting that Saturn is again in Aquarius after 30 years. This is the cycle of Saturn. And each cycle of Saturn is somehow the test of sustainability. So the Saturn now wants to see if these countries can survive. Does that have a meaning that they stay separate or in such form as they are now? But not only that we have this transit of Saturn, we also have at the same time now, in February and March, Pluto are near or soon will be at the 27 degree, 26, 27 degree of Capricorn. And this is now the return of Pluto. Pluto was there the last time in the 70s of the 18th century when America was established. So we also have this. And behind we have other circles that are now closing. So it's really interesting what is now happening. The question is, what can we expect? Well, first of all, colonizers, globalists, and others want the old scenario. This is divide and rule. And they have been especially successful for countries when they turn the Slavs, and generally they turn fraternal peoples against each other in the Middle East or in Asia or in these Muslim countries or among Slavs and everywhere in the world. And now they're trying to do the same thing in Ukraine and Russia, but now it's not working. This does not work anymore. So the time has come to organize the world differently. It's a big time for us. And this is the answer why Russia resists the Ukrainian Maidan, as they call it, and why Russia did not attack. They are now waiting to resolve the situation in Ukraine by not using by force. Now they are forcing them to use the force, but Russia does not want to use the force. I'm not saying that there maybe will be some small fights, I don't know about that. But must be very slow and very short, because Russia only wants to protect, not to attack. They want to resist this new and old rule, divide and attack. They don't want it anymore. So the peoples of Aquarius know how to wait, and now they will wait. They can wait, basically. But the colonizers are in a hurry. That's why they're pushing this war now. Why are they in a hurry? Because they're left without resources. If now they still have some resources that they have stolen from people, in the near future they will not have them. And because that mentality of the capitalists and colonizers must always take more and more and more, because they always talk about progress and development, then they have to fight. But unfortunately for them, now fights will not be in that way, not because of their need for development, because now the organizational principle is structural. It is not progressive. So we will organize through the structure and not with the idea of the progress, which completely changes everything for the future. It is very important also that nations and so-called states, these all states are quasi-states, they are not real, decide in the right way on which side they will be in the future. Now they're deciding that. And it is very important that they do not make the mistake. And this is happening now. I don't think that we will wait for the next 30 years or for the next 250 years to see the change. We will see it now in the year 22-23. And Uranus rules Aquarius. So that's why February is the month of revolution. We all know some big revolutions that happen in February. But now, as Uranus is in Taurus, it's not really able to make the revolution. I don't think there will be a big revolution. Maybe on the level of conscious only, which is good. Basically, people are protesting everywhere. There are going to be more protests. And until it will, I think it will be so until the moment when people come together in the time and in the right place. And that will be the turning point. And I guess it will come in the future few months. And let's now talk about the effect of the transits on a personal level. Well, Venus was retrograde in Capricorn from December 19 until the 29th of January 2022. However, Venus remains in its shadow until the March the 2nd. So still we are questioning ourselves. Even now, if it's direct in Capricorn, it still has more or less the same characteristics as it had in January. And we said Uranus has been direct since January, and it's slowly hitting speed now in February. And Venus is important because it rules Uranus, which is in Taurus. So this means that we are still able, and we are still actually forced to question the value of everything, of ourselves, to question our values, to think about our finances. Do we have enough? Do we really need to make more, or maybe what we have is enough? Or if we don't have finances and money, do we have maybe some qualities that we can use to make it? Somebody will question his or her own beauty with this, and many people will question their relation. Everybody is examining himself in his own way, and everybody is in a way thinking of that, do I deserve this, or I deserve better? And some people do not understand actually that they really deserve better. You know, after this retrograde period of Venus, they think maybe that they are quite low, that they cannot ask for more. But this is only the question of the state of mind. It's only up to you how you will understand your current situation. If you think that people do not appreciate you or your work or that what you gain or that what you gave to them, the only way how you can deal with this is actually through yourself. Change yourself if you want to change the environment. And there are many ways how to change. For example, I do Thetahealing, and there are many similar methods in today's time when we work with this inner form of our being, and there we change things. We change in us to manifest it outside. On January 16 will be the conjunction of Venus and Mars, and then that's the time when the first spark will be born, and there will be the opportunity to regenerate relations and to overcome some crisis if somebody was in financial or some crisis. And many of us will have the impulse to present ourselves in a new way in the world because we think that we deserve more, something like that. There will be stellium in Capricorn between Venus, Mars and Pluto in March, and I will talk about that in March video. This is connected with that what we are talking about now. So what does the new moon bring to each zodiac sign? Let's now see what it brings to each zodiac sign. I will say now in which era of life will this month, this new moon and Saturn and Sun, actually all of those planets now that are in Aquarius, which area of life they affect. In this area of life, each of us will mature, will become more objective, and will create new structures as an adult, as a more responsible person. So for Aries people, this is going to be in the era of friends, some social actions or projects, or it will be about their long-term plans. Taurus people will have this in the era of career and status. Maybe they need to understand what means status for them in the future. Gemini people in the era of travel, learning, future visions and success. They need to be more serious about their future success. For Crabs, this is the era of shared resources, money, sexuality and transformation. So either they experience this through money, and this is some money that they share with the banks or partner, or they experience this through sexuality and some very intimate sphere of life. Leos are experiencing this through partnership, through business partnership, or maybe through the relation with their clients, or relationships in general here are on test. Virgos people are experiencing this through their work, services, organization, and by helping others, learning to be more serious there. Libras are now questioning their creative abilities. What did they create until now, and how they will direct their creativity in the future, and they're learning a lot about children. Scorpio people have this in the area of home, family, and very, very personal emotions, which they do not show to anybody else. They're making new structures there. Sagittarius, you have this in the field of learning, communication, their mindset, their way how they see the world and how they think of the world. And maybe they are experiencing new things connected with the close people, those who are physically close to them. Capricorn, learning more about money, work and possessions. It's a good time to set some new rules there. Aquarius people have this in the era of me, which means this is me that I know, that I am, or it's in Jungian psychology persona, as he calls it. And this is one part of the self that we use to present ourselves to others. And often with this era is connected professional life. So Aquarian people are now more than anybody else influenced by Saturn, and for them this new moon is going to be very important. This is really very important new beginning now for them. If they don't succeed everything in this year, they still have next year to achieve something and start a new life phase. The full moon will be now in Leo on February 16th. It can be now pompous as usually, but it happens on the 27th degree. So since I'm talking about the degrees in this video, let's say that this degree means two hands in a friendly grip. One would say great, and it really can be great. This can mean new alliances in the world. But it is interesting that it's happening on the background of the star, which is maybe not the pleasant one or not for everybody. On the 27th degree of Leo, there is the star, which has Arabic name. They call it Adhafera. And this star is in the constellation of Leo, and it is in his main. And it can bring scandals and the end of some process. And since this constellation of Leo is connected with royal families, it is possible that we will see the end there in some famous royal family. So let's see what will be. Of course, we don't know what is really happening. Even in the last 2 years, we learned many secrets. Still, everything is hidden. Everything seems to be hidden from us. We live in the time when Neptune is in Pisces, so things will still be hidden, but we can always rely on our intuition and hope that we know a lot, enough. At least we know enough that we need to know to survive. Let's say it like that. And that's all for now. That's everything what I wanted to tell you. You will find all of the links and recommended videos under this video on YouTube. You can feel free to schedule personal consultations with me if you are interested. I'm dealing with astropsychology, spiritual astrology, Thetahealing, and Feng Shui. Everything is on my web pages, symbolicthinking.net. If you like this video, like it, share it, subscribe to my channel, and thank you very, very much for that. I wish you happiness in February. I wish you to be really free, to understand freedom in the best possible way, and see you soon.